Just a recruit, the princess thought, until the apex predators backed away. Part 1. The diplomatic vessel. Celestial Harmony was the pride of the Venturi fleet. Its halls were lined with crystal and gold. Its engines hummed with power that could cross half the galaxy in days. And today, it carried one of the most important passengers in the known universe. Princess Ursul Venturi stood at the observation window, watching the stars blur past. She was young by her people's standards, barely 200 cycles old. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the ship's light, and her 4 eyes reflected the endless darkness of space. This was her first real mission. Her father, the Emperor, had finally trusted her with something important. She was to attend the peace summit on Verith Prime. If the negotiations succeeded, it would end a conflict that had lasted generations. She should have felt proud. Instead, she felt annoyed. "A human," she said, not bothering to hide her disgust. "They assigned a human to my protection detail." Commander Thexral stood beside her, his scaled body towering over most of the crew. He was Kethari, a species known for their warrior traditions. He had protected the royal family for 30 cycles. His loyalty was beyond question. "It is a political gesture, Your Highness," he explained patiently. "Earth joined the coalition 3 cycles ago. The Council wishes to show unity. Unity." The princess made the words sound like an insult. "By giving me a primitive as a guard? Humans have no history, no legacy. They barely learned to leave their own planet." Thexral said nothing. He had learned long ago that arguing with royalty was pointless. The human arrived an hour later. His name was Park Junwoo. He wore the standard uniform of Earth's United Defense Corps. Simple gray fabric, no decorations, no medals. He was small compared to the Venturi guards. Small compared to almost everyone on the ship. He stood at attention as the princess looked him over. His face showed nothing. No nervousness. No pride. Just patience. "So you are the human," she said. "Yes, Your Highness." His voice was calm and steady. "Have you ever protected royalty before?" "No, Your Highness." "Have you ever been in real combat?" "Yes, Your Highness." She waited for him to elaborate. He did not. The princess turned to Thexral with a look that said everything. "This is what they send me? This quiet little creature? You will stay at the back of the formation," she told the human. "Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not interfere with my real guards. Is that understood?" "Yes, Your Highness." She walked away without another word. Over the next 2 days, the princess tested him. She sent him on pointless errands. Fetch water from the lower decks. Stand guard outside empty rooms. Clean equipment that was already cleaned. Jun-Woo completed every task without complaint. She spoke about humans when he was nearby, knowing he could hear. She called them primitive. Called them lucky to have stumbled into space travel. Said their world was nothing special. Just another rock orbiting a forgettable star. Junwoo never reacted. Never frowned. Never showed any sign that her words bothered him. This annoyed the princess even more. She wanted him to argue, to show anger, to give her a reason to send him back to whatever forgotten corner of the galaxy he came from. But he just kept doing his job. On the 3rd day, she noticed something strange. Junwoo was always watching. Not her, but everything else. He noticed things her other guards missed. The slight flicker in the corridor lights. The crew member who seemed nervous. The door that took half a second longer to close than it should. He mentioned these things to Commander Thexral, quietly, without making a scene. Thexral listened but dismissed most of it. Small details. Nothing important. The princess watched this exchange from across the room. For a moment, just a moment, she wondered if she had misjudged him. Then she pushed the thought away. He was still just a human. Still just a recruit. They were one day from Verith Prime. When the message came, the princess was in her quarters when the ship's alarms began to wail. Red lights flashed. The floor shook as the vessel changed course. She rushed to the bridge, her guards forming around her. Dexrol was already there, his scales pale with worry. "What is happening?" she demanded. The ship's captain turned to face her. He was Venthry, old and experienced, but even he looked shaken. "We received a distress signal from the summit location," he said. "The advance team. They were attacked." "Attacked? By whom?" The captain hesitated. He looked at Dexrol, then back at the princess. "The Vornkai," he said quietly. "They have breached the neutral zone." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what the Vornkai were. They were the apex predators of the galaxy. 8-limbed hunters that stood 3 meters tall. They did not conquer worlds. They did not make treaties. They simply hunted to them. Every other species was prey. They had never attacked a neutral zone before. They had never interfered with coalition business. Until now, the princess felt her heart beating fast. 200 cycles of sheltered life had not prepared her for this. "We should turn back," one of the officers suggested. "We cannot," Dexrol said firmly. The Emperor's orders were clear. The summit must proceed. If we fail, war with the Drexy Confederacy is certain. Billions will die. And if we land, the Vornkai will kill us all. Then we must be careful. The debate continued. Turn back, press forward. Wait for reinforcements. There were no good options. Through all of this, Junwu stood at the back of the bridge, exactly where the princess had assigned him. He listened. He watched. And when his eyes met hers, she saw something unexpected. No fear. The human was not afraid. The princess looked away, unsettled. How could he not be afraid? Even Dexrel, the greatest warrior she knew, was pale with worry. Even she, with all her royal training, could feel terror creeping into her soul. But this small, quiet human from a forgettable planet simply stood there, ready for whatever came next. She did not understand him. Not yet, but she would. The ship continued toward Verith Prime, toward the jungle, toward the hunters waiting in the dark, and none of them knew that everything was about to change. Just a recruit, the princess thought, until the apex predators backed away. Part 2. The shuttle descended through thick clouds. Below, the jungle of Verith Prime stretched in every direction, green and alive and hiding secrets in its shadows. Princess Irisol gripped her seat as turbulence shook the small craft. Around her, 6 guards sat ready. Commander Dexrol was at her side, his wounds still healing from their first encounter days ago. And at the back, as always, sat the human. Park Junwu stared out the small window. His face was calm. His hands rested on his knees, perfectly still. The princess wanted to ask him how he could be so relaxed. They were flying into territory where the deadliest hunters in the galaxy were waiting. Any sane creature would be terrified, but she said nothing. Asking would mean admitting she cared what he thought. The shuttle landed in a clearing half a kilometer from the summit hall. The original landing zone had been compromised. Bodies of the advance team had been found there. Or what was left of them. The princess tried not to think about that. Formation around Her Highness, Dexrol commanded. Eyes open. Weapons ready. The guards moved into position. 4 Venthry soldiers formed a diamond shape around the princess. Dexrol took the front, and Junwu, following his orders, stayed at the very back. They moved into the jungle. The air was thick and wet. Strange sounds came from every direction. Creatures calling to each other. Branches rustling. Water dripping from leaves, the size of shuttle wings. The princess had never been anywhere like this. Her world was clean and ordered. Palaces of crystal. Gardens that were pruned to perfection. This place was chaos. Wild and untamed. She hated it. They walked for 20 minutes. The summit hall was close now. Through gaps in the trees, she could see its white walls rising above the canopy. "Almost there," Bexral said. "Stay alert." That was when the first guard died. It happened so fast that the princess did not understand at first. One moment, her guard was walking beside her. The next, something dropped from the trees, and he was gone. Pulled up into the canopy with a sound like tearing cloth. Everyone froze. Then the screaming started. Not from the guards. From the thing above them. A sound like clicking and scraping, like metal on metal. The princess looked up and saw it. The VORN single quotes, Kai. It hung from the branches, 8 limbs holding it in place. Its body was dark gray, almost black, covered in hard plates like armor. 4 eyes gleamed with intelligence. And in its grip was what remained of her guard. More clicks answered from the jungle around them. They were surrounded. "Protect the princess." Bexral roared. The guards raised their weapons. Energy bolts flew into the trees. But the Vonkai were fast. Too fast. They moved through the canopy like shadows, appearing and disappearing before anyone could aim properly. Another guard fell. Then another. Bexral fought like a hero from the old stories. His blade sang through the air. He wounded one of the hunters, drove it back with a slash across its chest. But then it happened. A Vornkai dropped behind him. Before he could turn, something sharp pierced his shoulder. A spine, fired from the hunter's tail. Bexral gasped and fell to his knees. His scales were already turning gray around the wound. Poison. "Commander!" The princess screamed. She wanted to run to him. Wanted to help. But her body would not move. Fear had frozen her completely. This was nothing like the stories. Nothing like the training simulations. The blood was real. The screams were real. The death was real. She could smell it. That terrible iron smell that meant someone had stopped living. The remaining guards pulled closer around her. There were only 2 left now. 2 guards, a poisoned commander, and 1 human against a pack of hunters that had never known defeat. The Vornkai stopped attacking. They dropped from the trees. One by one, landing in a circle around the survivors. 8 of them. Each one stood nearly 3 meters tall. Their bodies were built for killing. Sharp limbs. Armored plates. Eyes that missed nothing. They clicked and scraped at each other, communicating, planning. Then one stepped forward. The largest one. The leader. It studied the princess with its 4 cold eyes. She felt like prey, like something small and weak, waiting to be eaten. The hunter's mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. And then someone stepped between them. Jun-Wu. The human walked forward calmly, placing himself directly between the princess and the lead Vornkai. He was so small compared to the hunter. A child standing before a giant. "What are you doing?" The princess whispered. He did not answer. He did not even look at her. His eyes were fixed on the creature before him. The Vornkai tilted its massive head. It seemed curious. This tiny thing was not running, not screaming, not begging. It simply stood there. The hunter leaned closer, its mouth parts moving, tasting the air. And then something strange happened. The Vornkai's body shifted. Just slightly. Its limbs adjusted, moving from an attack posture to something else. Something more cautious. It tasted the air again. And again. Behind it, the other hunters began to shift as well. They moved backward. Not much, just a step. But for creatures that had never retreated from anything, it was everything. The princess watched with wide eyes. She did not understand. The lead hunter spoke. Its voice came through a translator worn around its neck, turning clicks into words. "You," it pointed at Junwu. "What world?" The human answered without hesitation. Earth, Sol System. Silence. The hunters looked at each other. More clicking. More scraping. But different now. Uncertain. The leader turned back to Junwoo. We know of Earth. Its voice was lower now. Careful. The Death World. The planet that creates persistence hunters. The princess did not understand these words. Death World? Persistence hunters? What was the creature talking about? But she understood one thing clearly. The Vornkai, the apex predators of the galaxy, the hunters who feared nothing and no one, were hesitating. Because of the human. Jun-Woo said nothing. He simply stood there, hand resting on his weapon, meeting the hunter's gaze without blinking. The standoff continued. Seconds stretched into minutes. No one moved. No one spoke. Finally, Junwoo took a step backward. Slowly, carefully. We are leaving now, he said. His voice was calm but firm. We are taking our wounded and walking to those caves. He pointed to a rocky formation visible through the trees. You will not follow. It was not a request. It was not a plea. It was a statement. The lead Vornkai watched him. Its eyes burned with something that might have been hunger. Or respect. Or both. It did not attack. Jun-Woo helped Dex roll to his feet. The commander was barely conscious, the poison spreading through his body. The two remaining guards supported him on either side. Your Highness, Junwoo said quietly. Stay close to me. Walk slowly. Do not run. The princess nodded. She did not argue. She did not complain. She simply did as he said. They walked toward the caves. Behind them, the Vornkai followed at a distance, watching, waiting, but they did not attack. When they finally reached the cave entrance, the princess allowed herself to breathe. Her hearts were pounding. Her legs were shaking. She had never been so afraid in her life. She turned to look at the human. He was checking Dex Raw's wound, already pulling supplies from his kit. What are you? She asked. Her voice trembled. Jun-Woo did not look up from his work. He answered simply, without pride or boast. Right now, I'm the one keeping you alive. Outside the cave, the hunters circled in the darkness. The night was going to be long. Just a recruit, the princess thought, until the apex predators backed away. Part 3. The cave was dark and cold. Water dripped somewhere in the distance. Outside, the jungle had gone quiet. Too quiet. Princess Urasol sat against the stone wall, her arms wrapped around herself. Her royal gown was torn and dirty. Her silver skin was scratched from branches and falls. She had never looked less like royalty in her entire life, and she had never felt more afraid. The two remaining Venthari guards stood at the cave entrance, weapons ready. They were young and scared, but they held their positions. Loyalty ran deep in her people. Commander Dex Raw lay on the ground nearby. His breathing was shallow. The poison from the Vonkai's spine had spread to his chest. Gray lines crawled beneath. His scales like dark rivers. He did not have long. And in the middle of it all was the human. Jun-Woo knelt beside Dex Raw, working by the dim light of a small lamp from his kit. His hands moved quickly but carefully. He cleaned the wound, applied some kind of paste, wrapped it in bandages that glowed faintly with medical technology. The princess watched him work. Will he survive? Maybe. Junwoo did not look up. The poison is strong, but Kethari are tough. If I can slow the spread, he might have a chance. And if you cannot, then he dies. The words were cold but honest. The princess appreciated that in a strange way. Everyone else always told her what she wanted to hear. This human told her the truth. How do you know how to treat Kethari physiology? She asked. Basic xenobiology training. We learn about our allies before we serve with them. That seems thorough. On Earth, we prepare for everything. We have to. The princess fell silent. She watched him finish his work on deck's roll. Then he checked on the two guards, made sure they had water, told them to rest in shifts. He took care of everyone before himself. Finally, when there was nothing else to do, he sat down against the cave wall. Only then did the princess notice the blood on his arm. A cut from the fight earlier. You are injured, she said. It's nothing. Let me see. He looked at her with surprise. She did not blame him. She had treated him poorly since the moment they met. Now she was offering to help, but something had changed in that jungle. Something she did not fully understand yet. Jun-Woo hesitated, then rolled up his sleeve. The cut was deep but clean. The princess found bandages in his kit and wrapped the wound. Her hands shook slightly. Thank you, he said when she finished. She nodded and moved back to her spot against the wall. For a while, neither of them spoke. Outside, something moved in the darkness. The click-scrape of Von Kai communication. They were still out there. Still waiting. Why do they not attack? The princess asked quietly. They had us. They could have killed us all. Jun-Woo looked toward the cave entrance. They're curious. We surprised them. You surprised them. They looked at you like they knew something about you. They do. What do they know? For a moment, Jun-Woo said nothing. He seemed to be deciding how much to share. Then he spoke. The galaxy classifies planets by danger level. Most habitable worlds are Category 3 or lower. Calm weather. Stable environments. Life evolves slowly and peacefully. I know this. Venthry Prime is Category 2. Earth is Category 12. The princess stared at him. That is impossible. Category 12 worlds are. They are death worlds. Nothing intelligent is supposed to evolve there. And yet here I am. She shook her head. You must be mistaken. I am not. Jun-Woo's voice was patient, like a teacher explaining to a student. Earth has everything. Extreme temperatures, violent weather, earthquakes that reshape continents, volcanoes that block out the sun, and predators. Thousands of species that evolved specifically to kill. How did your people survive? We became the best at surviving. He told her then about human evolution. Not boasting, just explaining. Humans were not the fastest creatures on Earth. They were not the strongest. They did not have claws or fangs or armor. But they had something else that they could run forever. Not fast, but steady. For hours. For days. Other animals would sprint and tire. Humans would simply follow, walking, jogging, never stopping. Eventually, every prey would collapse from exhaustion, and the humans would still be coming. This was called persistence hunting, and humans were the greatest persistence hunters their world had ever seen. But that was not all. Humans healed from wounds that would kill other species. Broken bones mended. Skin grew back. Sickness was fought off by aggressive immune systems. They were not fragile. They were stubborn. And most importantly, they protected each other. On Earth, Jun-Woo said, the group matters more than the individual. We evolved in tribes. We survived because we worked together. We do not abandon our wounded. We do not leave our weak behind. The princess looked at Dexral, still breathing shallowly on the cave floor. You could escape alone, she said. Right now. Leave us here. The Vornkai want the hunt. If you ran, they might follow you and ignore us. They might. So why stay? Jun-Woo met her eyes. Because you need help. That is enough. The princess did not know what to say. On her world, self-preservation was expected. Royalty was protected because royalty was important. Common soldiers were expendable. That was simply how things worked. But this human saw things differently. He protected others not because they were important, but because protecting was what humans did. Outside, the clicking grew louder. The Voronkai were getting restless. They had been patient, but their patience was ending. One of the guards rushed to Junwoo. "They are gathering at the entrance. More than before. I think they are preparing to attack." Junwoo stood. He checked his weapon, a simple energy pistol with limited charges. Then he checked the small blade at his belt. "How many shots do you have?" he asked the guards. 12. Maybe 15. Make them count. The princess stood as well. "What do we do?" Junwoo looked at her. For the first time, she saw something in his eyes. Not fear, but calculation. He was thinking, planning. "I have an idea," he said. "But you will not like it. Tell me. I go out there alone. I keep their attention. You take the commander and go deeper into the caves. Find another exit. That is suicide. Maybe." He shrugged. "But if I can buy you enough time, you might reach the summit hall. There are coalition forces there. Or there should be. You would die for us? For people who have treated you as nothing." Junwoo smiled. It was a small smile, tired and honest. "I told you, princess. This is what humans do." Outside, a voice called through the darkness. The lead Voronkai, speaking through its translator. "Human, we have waited long enough. We will hunt you now. Run if you wish. It will make the chase sweeter." Junwoo walked toward the entrance. The princess grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said. "There must be another way." "There is not." "Then let me come with you." He shook his head. "You are the mission. I protect the mission. That is my job. I am not asking you to protect me. I am asking to fight beside you." For a long moment, he looked at her. Something shifted in his expression. Perhaps respect. Perhaps surprise. Then he shook his head again. "No, but thank you for asking." He stepped out of the cave and into the darkness. The princess watched him go. She did not understand this human. Did not understand his courage or his calm or his strange willingness to die for strangers. But she was beginning to. And for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt something other than fear. She felt hope. Just a recruit, the princess thought, until the apex predators backed away. Part 4, the jungle was alive with sound. Insects hummed. Creatures called in the distance. And beneath it all, the click-scrape of the Voronkai, circling like sharks in dark water. Junwoo stood at the cave entrance. His pistol was in his hand. His blade was at his belt. His heart was steady. Fear was there, of course. He was not a machine. But humans had learned long ago how to push fear aside. How to function when every instinct screamed to run. The lead Voronkai emerged from the shadows. It was massive, its armored body catching the faint moonlight. 4 eyes studied him with cold intelligence. "You do not run," it observed. "No. Your kind is small, weak. You have no claws. No armor. Why do you not fear us?" Junwoo considered the question. How could he explain millions of years of evolution to a creature that had always been the hunter, never the hunted? "Fear is a tool," he said finally. "It keeps you sharp, but it does not control us. We learned that lesson long ago, on your death world." "Yes." The Voronkai moved closer. Its limbs clicked against the ground. "We have heard stories of a world where nothing is safe, where the weather itself kills, where even the small creatures carry poison. We thought it was myth. It is not myth. It is home." Behind the leader, more hunters emerged. 8 of them now. Their bodies were tense with hunger. The hunt had been delayed too long. They wanted blood. "Your people," the leader said. They do not break when captured. They fight until the end. Even when wounded. Even when dying. Yes. Why? Junwoo thought of Earth, of all the battles his species had fought. Against nature. Against predators. Against each other. Millions of years of struggle that had shaped them into something strange and stubborn. Because giving up means losing everything, he said. On Earth, surrender was death. So we stopped surrendering. The Voronkai made a sound that might have been laughter. Or respect. Or both. We have hunted across 1,000 worlds, it said. We have killed species you have never heard of. Great warriors. Mighty beasts. Ancient beings who thought themselves immortal. It leaned closer. Its breath was hot and smelled of old meat. We have never met a species like yours. Is that why you hesitate? The hunter's eyes narrowed. We do not hesitate. We assess. You hesitate, Junwoo said calmly, because you sense something you have never encountered. A prey that does not know it is prey. For a long moment, silence hung in the air. Then the leader stepped back. It raised one limb, signaling to the others. We will hunt you now, human. Let us see if the stories are true. The hunters spread out, moving into the jungle on either side. Junwoo watched them go. He knew what was coming. A chase through unfamiliar terrain against creatures built for killing. He had no advantages. No special weapons. No backup. Nothing but his training and his stubbornness would have to be enough. He ran, not away from the cave. That would lead them to the princess. Instead, he ran sideways, toward the thickest part of the jungle. He needed to draw them away. By time behind him, the hunt began. The Voronkai were fast. Terrifyingly fast. They moved through the trees like shadows, covering ground that took him 3 steps in one leap. They could have caught him in seconds, but they did not. They were playing, testing, seeing how long this strange creature would last. Junwoo used every trick he knew. He changed direction suddenly, forcing them to adjust. He ducked under low branches that slowed their massive bodies. He jumped across streams that they had to wade through. He could not outrun them, but he could make the chase difficult. Minutes passed. His lungs burned. His legs ached. But he kept moving. On Earth, this was how humans had survived. Not by being faster, but by refusing to stop. Other animals would sprint and rest, sprint and rest. Humans would just keep going. The Voronkai began to notice. He does not tire, one of them clicked. He will, another replied. All prey tires. But Junwoo did not tire. Not the way they expected. He had run marathons in training. Had marched for days with full equipment through deserts and mountains. His body was built for this. Designed by evolution to keep moving long after other creatures collapsed. After 30 minutes, he was still running. The hunters grew frustrated. Their playful pursuit became more aggressive. They closed the distance, snapping at his heels, trying to force him to stop. He did not stop. Instead, he began to set traps, not real traps. He had no tools for that, but he used the terrain. Led them under unstable branches that fell when disturbed. Across ground that looked solid but was actually soft mud. Through thorn bushes that tangled in their limbs. One by one, the hunters fell behind. Not defeated, but slowed, annoyed, confused. This was not how prey was supposed to behave. Prey ran in straight lines. Prey tired quickly. Prey made mistakes born of panic. This human did none of those things. He was calm, methodical. Every step had purpose. An hour into the chase, one of the hunters finally caught him. It came from the side, too fast to dodge. Its limbs slashed across his arm, opening a deep cut. Blood sprayed across the leaves. Junwoo stumbled, but did not fall. He rolled, came up with his blade in hand and slashed back. The Vornkai screamed. The blade had found a gap in its armor. Cutting deep into the joint of its forward limb, it retreated, clicking in pain and surprise. A human had wounded it. A small, soft creature with no claws and no armor had drawn blood from a Vornkai. The other hunters circled. Suddenly more cautious. Jun-Woo stood in the clearing, breathing hard. Blood ran down his arm. His uniform was torn. Every muscle in his body screamed for rest, but he did not run. He faced them. Who was next? He asked. The Vornkai looked at each other. Something had changed. The hunt was no longer fun. This prey fought back. This prey hurt them, but they were still apex predators. They did not retreat. 3 of them attacked at once. Jun-Woo moved like water. He could not match their strength, so he did not try. He dodged, ducked, redirected. Let their own momentum work against them. A blade across one's eye. A shot from his pistol into another's leg. An elbow to the throat of a third when it got too close. He took wounds. A slash across his back. A bite on his shoulder. But he kept fighting. Humans were good at that. At fighting through pain. At ignoring injuries that would stop other species cold. The battle lasted only minutes, but it felt like hours. When it was over, 5 of the 8 hunters were wounded. Too badly enough that they could not continue. Jun-Woo stood in the center of the clearing, covered in blood, mostly his own. His pistol was empty. His blade was chipped, but he was still standing. The lead Vornkai approached slowly. It studied him with new eyes. "You are not like other prey," it said. "I am not prey. No." The hunter's voice was quiet now, almost thoughtful. "You are not." Behind it, the remaining hunters gathered. They were wounded and tired and angry. But something else was in their eyes now. They had never doubted before. Never questioned their place at the top of the food chain. Until now. The leader raised one limb. Not to attack. To stop. Enough, it said to the others. Then it turned back to Jun-Woo. "You fight well, human. You bleed but do not stop. You are outnumbered but do not surrender." It paused. "This is not courage. This is something else. Something we have no word for." Jun-Woo met its gaze. "On Earth, we call it stubbornness." The hunter made that strange sound again. Laughter or respect. "We will remember this night," it said. "We will remember what Earth creates." It turned and began to walk away. The other hunters followed, supporting their wounded. Jun-Woo watched him go. His body wanted to collapse. His vision was blurring from blood loss. But he stayed on his feet until the last hunter had disappeared into the jungle. Then, finally, he allowed himself to sink to his knees. He had done it. He'd bought time. Now he just had to hope it was enough. Just a recruit, the princess thought, until the apex predators backed away. Part 5. Princess. Yuriso had never felt so helpless in her life. She stood at the cave entrance, listening to the distant sounds of the hunt. Screams and clicks and crashes that echoed through the jungle. Somewhere out there, the human was fighting for his life. Fighting for all of them, and she could do nothing but wait. "Your Highness, we should move deeper," one of the guards said. "If the hunters return, we wait." But the human said, "I know what he said." Her voice was sharp. "We wait." The guard fell silent. He did not understand. How could he? He had not seen what she had seen. The way Jun-Woo had stepped between her and death without hesitation. The way he had faced creatures that terrified even her strongest warriors. She would not abandon him. Not after that. Behind her, Commander Thexrol stirred. His eyes opened slowly, clouded with pain and poison. "Your Highness." His voice was barely a whisper. She knelt beside him. "Do not speak. Save your strength. The human, where?" He went to draw the hunters away. He's buying us time. Dexral's eyes widened. Alone? Against the Vornkai? Yes. The old warrior was silent for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a weak sound, more cough than laughter, but it was real. I have served your family for 30 cycles, he said. I have met warriors from 100 worlds, but I have never met anyone like that human. Neither have I. Dexral reached up and gripped her hand. His scales were cold, the poison stealing his warmth. If he comes back, Dexral said, tell him. Tell him the Kethari honor bravery above all things. Tell him he has earned our respect and our debt. You will tell him yourself. Perhaps. The commander closed his eyes. Perhaps. Time passed slowly. The sounds of battle faded. The jungle grew quiet again, too quiet. The princess paced at the entrance. Every shadow looked like a hunter. Every rustle of leaves made her heart race. Then she heard footsteps, not the clicking of Vornkai limbs. Something else. Something heavier. Irregular. She raised her weapon, the small ceremonial blaster she had never thought she would use. Her hand shook. A figure emerged from the darkness. Jun-Woo. He was covered in blood. His uniform was in tatters. One arm hung at his side, cut deeply. He walked with a limp, favoring his right leg. But he was alive. The princess dropped her weapon and ran to him. She caught him just as his legs gave out, supporting his weight as best she could. You came back, she whispered. I said I would keep you alive. His voice was rough with exhaustion. Still doing that. She helped him into the cave. The guards rushed to assist, laying him down where Dexral had been resting. The commander had pulled himself to a sitting position, watching with amazement. The hunters? Dexral asked. Gone. Junwoo closed his eyes. For now. The princess found the medical kit and began treating his wounds. There were so many. Cuts and bites and slashes that would have killed most species. How are you still alive? She asked. Told you. Humans are stubborn. She worked in silence, cleaning and bandaging. The guards kept watch at the entrance. Dexral drifted in and out of consciousness. When she finished, she sat back and looked at the human. He was pale from blood loss. His breathing was shallow, but he was stable. Why did they let you go? She asked. Jun-Woo opened his eyes. They did not let me go. I convinced them it was not worth continuing. How? I hurt them. Made the hunt costly. He paused. The Vornkai are predators. Predators calculate risk. When the risk becomes too high, they find easier prey. But you are one human. They are, I know. A faint smile crossed his face. But I am a very annoying human. The princess almost laughed. Almost. There is something I need to tell you, Junwoo said. The summit hall is still intact. I saw it from the ridge. There are coalition ships landing there. Reinforcements. Hope surged through her. We can make it. Yes, but we need to move before dawn. The Vornkai might return with more hunters. The princess nodded. She turned to the guards. Can you carry the commander? Yes, your highness. Then we leave now. They moved quickly. Junwoo insisted on walking, despite his injuries. He said he did not want to slow them down. The princess suspected it was pride, but she did not argue. The jungle was different at night. The darkness pressed in from all sides. Strange sounds came from everywhere and nowhere. But they kept moving. Jun-Woo led the way. He seemed to have memorized the terrain during his hunt. He knew which paths were safe, which areas to avoid. After 2 hours of walking, they reached the edge of the jungle. The summit hall rose before them, white walls glowing in the moonlight. Coalition vessels sat in the clearing around it. Soldiers moved between them. They had made it. The princess felt tears forming in her eyes. She had never been so relieved. "We need to signal them," Junwoo said. "Carefully. They might shoot first and ask questions later." One of the guards had an emergency beacon. He activated it, and within minutes, a patrol found them. The soldiers were shocked at what they saw. A princess of the Venthri Empire, torn and dirty. A Cathari commander, barely alive from poison. 2 exhausted guards, and 1 human, covered in blood that was mostly not his own. What happened? The patrol leader asked. The princess looked at Junwoo. He said nothing. Of course he said nothing. He would never boast about what he had done. So she told them. She told them about the ambush, about the hunters, about the human who had stood between her and death, about the chase through the jungle and the battle that followed. By the time she finished, the soldiers were staring at Junwoo with something like awe. He just shrugged. I was doing my job. They were brought into the summit hall. Medics took Deck's role immediately, rushing into treatment. Others tended to Junwoo, though he kept insisting his wounds were not serious. The princess was given clean clothes and a room to rest. But she did not rest. She sat at a window, watching the jungle in the distance. The Vonkai were still out there. The galaxy was still dangerous. Nothing had really changed, and yet everything had changed. She had come to this mission, thinking she understood the universe, thinking she knew where her people stood in the great order of things. Now she was not so sure. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. She opened it to find one of her father's advisors. He had arrived with the reinforcements. "Your Highness," he said, bowing low. "The Emperor has received your preliminary report. He wishes to speak with the human. Immediately." The princess felt a mix of emotions: pride, worry, curiosity. "Tell my father," she said, "that the human will speak when he is ready. He has earned that courtesy." The advisor looked surprised, but did not argue. The princess closed the door and returned to her window. Outside, the first light of dawn was touching the sky. A new day was beginning. Just a recruit, the princess thought, until the apex predators backed away. Part 6. 3 days had passed since the jungle. The celestial harmony drifted through space, carrying its passengers back to Venthri Prime. The peace summit had been postponed, but not cancelled. The Drexy Confederacy had agreed to wait, moved by the news of what had happened on Verith Prime. Even enemies respected courage. Princess Urasol sat in her quarters, staring at the document on her screen. Her report to her father. She had rewritten it 7 times now, and it still did not feel right. How could words capture what she had witnessed? How could any report explain the moment when a single human had stood against the deadliest hunters in the galaxy and made them hesitate? She deleted everything and started again. "Father, I went to Verith Prime as a diplomat. I returned as something else. I am not sure what to call it yet. Perhaps wiser. Perhaps humble. You assigned a human to my protection detail. I was insulted. I treated him poorly. I thought his species was primitive and beneath my notice. I was wrong." She paused, searching for the right words. The human is named Park Junwoo. He is a private first class in Earth's United Defense Corps. He has no medals, no titles, no famous ancestors. By our standards, he is nobody. But when the Vonkai attacked, he was the only one who did not freeze. When Commander Thexerol fell, he was the one who provided treatment. When we hid in a cave, surrounded by apex predators, he was the one who walked out alone to face them. He did not do this for glory. He did not ask for reward. He simply saw people in danger and decided to help. That is who humans are, Father. That is what their world created. The princess leaned back and closed her eyes. She could still see it. Junwoo stepping between her and the lead hunter. That small figure facing down a creature 3 times his size. She continued writing. I have studied galactic history. I know that new species are often dismissed. It takes centuries to build reputation, to prove worth, but I believe humanity will not wait centuries. They will prove themselves much sooner than anyone expects. They are not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but they have something else, a quality that is difficult to name. They do not give up. On their world, surrender meant death. So they evolved to never surrender. They fight through pain. They protect their companions at any cost. They face impossible odds and simply refuse to accept defeat. The Voronkai recognized this. For the first time in their history, they encountered a prey species that was not prey. They backed away from a single human because they sensed something ancient and dangerous. A predator wearing the shape of prey. There was a knock at her door. She saved the report and called for entry. Commander Dexrol walked in slowly. He was still recovering from the poison, but the medics said he would live. His scales had regained some of their color. "Your Highness," he said, bowing slightly. "The human has been summoned to the communication chamber. Your father wishes to speak with him now." The princess stood. "I will attend." They walked together through the ship's corridors. Crew members stepped aside, bowing as she passed. But she noticed something new in their eyes. They looked at her differently now, not just as a princess. As a survivor. The communication chamber was a grand room, designed to make even simple calls feel important. Holographic projectors created the illusion of space. When her father's image appeared, it was as if he were standing right there with them. Emperor Urukai Venturi was old and stern. His silver skin had faded to pale gray over centuries of rule. Four eyes that had seen empires rise and fall studied the room with patient wisdom. Junwoo stood before him. The human had been given a clean uniform, but his wounds were still visible. Bandages wrapped his arm. A healing patch covered the bite on his shoulder. He stood at attention, steady and calm. "Private First Class Park, Junwoo," the Emperor said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "I have read my daughter's report. I have heard testimony from Commander Dexrol and the surviving guards. And now I wish to hear from you." Junwoo nodded slightly. "What would you like to know, Your Majesty? Why did you do it?" The question hung in the air. Simple but vast. Junwoo was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "Because they needed help. The princess, the commander, the guards. They were in danger, and I could do something about it. That was enough reason. You could have died." "Yes, that did not concern you?" "Of course it concerned me, but it did not stop me. On Earth, we learned that protecting others is more important than protecting yourself. A group survives when individuals are willing to sacrifice for it." The Emperor studied him. Those ancient eyes searched for deception, for pride, for any hidden motive. They found nothing but honesty. "Commander Dexrol tells me that the Voronkai retreated after facing you. That they, the apex predators of the galaxy, chose not to continue the hunt. Is this true?" "Yes, Your Majesty. How?" Junwoo considered his answer carefully. "The Voronkai are predators. They calculate risk and reward. When I made the hunt costly enough, when I showed them that humans do not break easily, the calculation changed. We were no longer worth the effort. You made yourself too dangerous to hunt. I made myself too stubborn to hunt." There was a long pause. Then the Emperor did something unexpected. He laughed. It was a deep, genuine sound. The princess could not remember the last time she had heard her father laugh. "Too stubborn to hunt," the Emperor repeated. "I like that." He straightened, and his expression became formal again. "Private First Class Park, Junwoo. On behalf of the Venturi Empire, I thank you for the protection of my daughter and my people. You have earned a debt that will not be forgotten." He paused. I am told that humans have a tradition. When someone saves a life, a bond is formed. Is this true? In some cultures, yes. Then let it be known throughout the empire. The human named Park Jun-woo has bonds with the royal family. His people, his world, his species. They are friends of the Ventury. Now and always. The princess felt tears forming again. She did not try to stop them. Jun-woo simply nodded. Thank you, Your Majesty. The communication ended. The Emperor's image faded. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the princess stepped forward. She faced the human who had saved her life. I owe you an apology, she said quietly. I treated you terribly. I dismissed you because of where you came from. I was wrong. You do not need to apologize. Yes, I do. She met his eyes. I underestimated you. I thought your species was primitive, weak. Now I understand how wrong I was. Jun-woo smiled slightly. Most species make that mistake. We are used to it. They will not make it for long. Word of what happened here will spread. The story of the human who faced the Vonkai alone and made them retreat. She paused. The galaxy will learn what you are. And what are we? The princess thought of everything she had seen. The courage, the stubbornness, the absolute refusal to abandon those in need. You are protectors, she said. Guardians. The kind of species that stands between danger and the innocent. Not because you are the strongest, but because you choose to. Jun-woo was quiet for a moment. Then he straightened his uniform and gave a small bow. Thank you, Your Highness. That means more than you know. He turned and walked toward the door. He had duties to attend to. Even after everything, he was still a soldier. Still doing his job. The princess watched him go. She thought of the stars outside, of the countless worlds waiting to meet humanity, of the future that was unfolding. They would learn she knew. All of them. Every species in the galaxy would eventually understand what she had learned in that jungle. Humans will not prey. They never were. And anyone who thought otherwise was making a very dangerous mistake.